You're listening to the Fire and Thunder Sports Podcast. Be sure to tune in live every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 9.3 FM WMSC. We're going to open up the show and spend a lot of time talking about the show with NBA free agency. Now, you guys all know I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, so let's just say it's been a very fun, past, 6 or 7 days, obviously the Nets getting Kyrie Irving, the Nets getting Kevin Durant. I promise you all, I promise that I will eventually get to that. I promise I'll eventually get to that. But I think to open up the show, I gotta start with, the latest NBA free agency news, which is obviously Kawhi Leonard joining the Los Angeles Clippers. For those who know, Kawhi Leonard, NBA Finals MVP, just recently won, his second NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors. He is announced according, it's AJ Wojnarowski, on Twitter, ESPN, ESPN's NBA Insider, the ultimate NBA Insider, is reporting that Kawhi Leonard will ultimately join the Los Angeles Clippers. Did I say Lakers before? I mean, I'm not sure. I think I said Clippers, but if I did say Lakers, earlier, I apologize. But he will be signed with the Los Angeles. He will be, leaving Toronto, leaving the Toronto Raptors, and, signing, a max deal with, the Los Angeles Clippers. And also to add to this, the Los Angeles Clippers, at the same time, made a big-time trade to Oklahoma City for Paul George. Basically, they made a big-time trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder for a star, the star forward, Paul George from Oklahoma City. So that is obviously a big time move by the Clippers. Now they got Kawhi Leonard, they got Paul George, and this obviously, let's just get the opposite out of the way. The Clippers are now in my opinion the favorites to win the NBA championship next year. I mean, because I said before, I think Kawhi Leonard right now is the best player in basketball. Right now, at this moment, he's the best player in basketball. It used to be a debate, in my opinion, between him and Kevin Durant, but with Kevin Durant going down with the Achilles, we don't know we don't know when he's gonna come back, and we don't know even when he comes back, it'll even be close to his 100%. We don't know how close he will be to his normal self. So right now, in my opinion, Kawhi Leonard is the best player in basketball. He proved it in the playoffs. He was unreal in the playoffs from the Toronto Raptors, winning NBA Finals MVP. So in my opinion, Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the world. So that's one thing going in favor of the Los Angeles Lakers. That's one thing going in favor of the not the Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm sorry, but anyway, that's one thing going in favor of the Clippers. And now making a big time trade for Paul George, which I believe they gave up a record amount of draft picks. I mean, I don't have the full terms of the trade in front of me, but if I do end up getting the full trade reports, I will bring them to bring them to you. So if I do get all the full terms of the trade, I will get them to you ASAP. So basically but obviously getting Paul George was, in my opinion, also a top 10 player in the NBA, one of the best forwards in the NBA. He was unreal, during his time with the Oklahoma City Thunder, because a lot of time, we all assumed that Russell Westbrook was, going to be the Thunder's best player. Even when the Thunder acquired Paul George, everyone assumed that Russell Westbrook was going to be, the best player on that team. As it turns out, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion, Paul George took over as the best player on that team. Without a doubt, Paul George, was the best player on his team during, his time with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So to get him and Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion, makes the Los Angeles Clippers the favorites to win the NBA title, even over the Los Angeles Lakers. Because I don't know if this is a hot take, I'm not that high on the Lakers. Obviously, I was gonna say about LeBron James. They have LeBron James. He's the best player in the world. People still believe that LeBron James is the best player in the world. Don't get me wrong. He's still top 3, but he's not the all-time great that he used to be. And obviously, they also got Anthony Davis, who obviously is probably the best big man in the game, the best power forward / center in the NBA. But if you look at him with the New Orleans Pelicans, he never really won anything. He always underachieved for the New Orleans Pelicans. So don't give me the argument, oh, he was with the Pelicans, they're a dumpster fire, and look at the talent he had around him. He had some pretty good players, during his time with he had some pretty good players during his time with the Orange Pelicans. Look at just look up those rosters, that the New Orleans Pelicans have with Anthony Davis. They had DeMarcus Cousins, they had a bunch of other guys. Like, those teams weren't terrible. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible either. So you're bringing a guy who underachieved during his time with the New Orleans Pelicans, was a head case during his time with during the whole thing of requesting a trade. He was a head case. Him and his agent were a head case during that. They caused so many problems to Pelicans. You bring that in, and you're bringing in LeBron James, and in the Anthony Davis trade, you sacrificed all of your depth. You practically gave up all of your depth. You traded away Lonzo Ball. You traded away Brandon Ingram. You traded away pretty much all of your first round picks. You traded away everything pretty much to get Anthony Davis with you. The only other player that you have is Kyle Kuzma. That's it. The only other real player that you have on your team is Kyle Kuzma. Don't give me obviously the Lakers who make some moves, bringing Rajon Rondo and DeMarcus Cousins. Both of them are shells of what they used to be. Obviously DeMarcus Cousins was I could have gone around about how awful DeMarcus Cousins was in the NBA. I know, and obviously Rajon Rondo is Rajon Rondo. He's not the player he used to be. So you're combining two players. You're bringing two players who are not where they used to be. You sacrifice pretty much all your depth off the bench. So pretty much all you have is LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who are superstar players. Don't get me wrong, but one always underachieved in New Orleans, and B, the other, LeBron James, is not the player he used to be. So all this talk about how the Lakers are the favorites to win the NBA Finals, I'm gonna be honest. I would not be surprised if the Los Angeles Lakers were not a top 4 seed in the NBA. That's my hot take right there. I would not be surprised if the Los Angeles Lakers were were not one of the top 4 teams and did not get home court advantage in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I would not be surprised at all if that happened, because I do not trust the Lakers, even with the moves they made to get Anthony Davis. I just do not trust the Lakers right now with how poorly they've been run and how poorly they have been run as of late. I just do not trust the Lakers. And when you look at the Clippers, even beyond Kawhi Leonard, obviously best player in the world in my opinion, and Paul George is one of the best players, definitely a top 10 player in the NBA. They still have some really great players around them. The sixth man of the year, Lou Williams. They still have Patrick Beverly. They still have Wilson Chandler. They still have Angel Delago. They still have all of their depth pieces in play. So not only do the Clippers have more depth than the Los Angeles Lakers, not only do they arguably have more star power, because if you think about who you would rather have, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, or Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I'm taking Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. There, I said it. I'll take Kawhi Leonard and Paul George over LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I'll take the Clippers duo over the Lakers duo. And we combine that and the fact that the Clippers have much more depth off the bench than the Lakers. I think if I were to bet on which Los Angeles team is going to be better next season and going forward, I put my money on the Clippers. And obviously the Clippers are, in my opinion, the favorites to win the NBA title, because not only do they have star power, they also have depth. A lot of times teams, they prioritize too much, they put too much stock in star power and not enough depth. Obviously, you need star power to win NBA. You need superstar players to win, a championship in the NBA. That's obvious to anyone. This is the reason why the Golden State Warriors are, won back-to-back NBA championships and why they won 3 championships in the last 5 years. There's a reason for that. It's because of all the stars they have. Steph Curry, obviously Kevin Durant, who's now with the Nets. We'll get into, that later. I'm very excited about that as a Nets fan. But, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they had all of those stars. So obviously you need star power to win, championships in the NBA. But you still need some depth. You still need, depth. You still need depth. Even beyond that, the Warriors, they still had Andre Iguodala. They still had, Sean Livingston, even though he's not the same. They still had, Andrew Bowie, even though he's gone. Like, they still had some key depth pieces off the bench during their time, during their dynasty, during the time when they won all those championships. When you look at the Miami Heat, even beyond, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, they still had Ray Allen. They still had Mario Chalmers. They still had, other supporting role players. So all these dynasties, they still had, good players coming off the bench. When you look at, the Los Angeles Lakers, aside from LeBron, Anthony Davis, and, Kyle Kuzma, who else do they have? And if you tell me Rajon Rondo and DeMarcus Cousins, I will laugh in your face. So, and when you look when you look at the Clippers, obviously Lou Williams, they still have, all the solid role players from last year, and you add Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to that. I said before, I am all in on the Los Angeles Clippers bandwagon. I think they are going to be. Right now they are my pick for to win the NBA championship next year. I mean, I don't know if I'll stick to that by the time I make my official predictions for the season. When we come back to do our show in the fall. But so who else about that? But right now, the Los Angeles Clippers are right now my pick to win the NBA championship in 2019-2020. They are my pick to win the championship. In that season, because when you look at that team, and not only the star power they have, Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion, is the best player in the world. He might also be my pick to win the NBA MVP next year. Obviously, we'll see what happens. We'll see if my mind changes when I do my official predictions show up in the upcoming fall. But we'll see what happens. But right now, my pick to win the NBA championship will be it looks like my pick to win the NBA championship in 2019-2020 will be the Los Angeles Clippers. Thanks for listening to the Fire and Thunder Sports Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe to Super Adam 66 for more of the podcast, as well as more sports and entertainment content. Also follow on Twitter and Instagram at Grassani6. And I said before, in the beginning of the show, I am one happy Brooklyn Nets fan right now, and for good reasons. All Nets fans should be happy. If you're a Nets fan, I have no idea how you could not be happy to be a Brooklyn Nets fan right now. I mean, I don't really know. Oh, my friend Walter, my friend Walter Charney, if you're listening, is not happy about the Brooklyn Nets offseason, and if you are. And I don't understand why. I have no idea how you could not be happy about right now if you're a Nets fan. So, for those of you who've been living under a rock for the past, 2 weeks, the Nets will be, that, for those of you that haven't heard, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving will be signing, with, the Brooklyn Nets this offseason. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are signing with the Brooklyn Nets this offseason. Kyrie Irving was made official, I believe, yesterday, and we're still waiting on the Kevin Durant sign to become official. I believe it's going to be part of a sign and trade from D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell is going to be signing and traded to the Warriors. I believe Kevin Durant's going to be signed and traded to the Nets. I'll get into the D'Angelo Russell part, later on in the show, because I do have some very kind words to say to him, and I want to talk about, his future with the Warriors a little bit. Just dedicate some time to D'Angelo Russell for all the things he's done, for the Brooklyn Nets. So, for the Brooklyn Nets. So, but yeah, I'll get to that, later on in the hour. But right now, if you're a Nets fan, you have to be happy about this right now. I understand Kevin Durant is coming off, a serious Achilles injury. I understand he's coming off a career-threatening injury that very few players, have come back from, let alone come back from at full strength. It's a very, notorious injury from ruining careers. So, if you're a Nets fan and you're concerned about, and Kevin Durant's injury, I can at least respect that. But to not be happy with the signing, to not be happy with the signing, like, I just can't understand it. Because even then, even with this injury, even 90%, if Kevin Durant could come back in 90%, we're forgetting who Kevin Durant is right now. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, like, when healthy, when he was 100%, is the best player in basketball. He surpassed LeBron James last year, in my opinion. And then Kevin Durant, and last year, when he was 100%, was the best player in basketball. He's defensively, he's not great defensively, but he's still very good defensively. He could definitely hold his own on the defensive end. But offensively, on the offensive end, he's in my opinion, the greatest scorer in NBA history. When we talk about pure offensive game, in terms of scoring the basketball, he is, in my opinion, the best offensive player to ever play a game of basketball. In terms of scoring the basketball, he's the best to have ever done. He's the player that many, including me, anticipate will shatter and break, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's, all-time scoring record. Like, he's eventually going to do that. Hopefully, it'll be in a Brooklyn Nets uniform. I'll check up where he is in the standings right now. So, we'll break it down to see if it could possibly happen at Brooklyn Nets uniform. So we'll see what happens there. But Kevin Durant signing with the Brooklyn Nets is undeniably. Both of these signs, signing Kevin Durant, signing Kyrie Irving, are without a doubt the two biggest signings in Nets franchise history. The two biggest signings in Nets franchise history, without a doubt. Don't give me the accusation of Jason Kidd. Definitely don't give me the accusation of Darren Williams. This is without a doubt, the two biggest signs in Brooklyn Nets history, and I think they'll remain the two biggest signs in Brooklyn Nets franchise history for pretty much forever. I mean, I don't see any free agent signing with the Nets, or any Nets acquisition topping these two coming here anytime soon. So, I mean, it's just that big a level of it's just that big. So I have arguably the best player in the world, in my opinion, the best player in the world, sign with their team, and then to bring along with him, one of the top 3 point guards in the NBA history, a guy who, I'll get into Kyrie Irving a little bit because I got a lot to say about Kyrie Irving, but to bring him up. But to bring him along into the mix too is just you just really have to applaud Sean Marks, because let's just think a couple of years ago. Let's just like 3 years ago right now. It's June of 2016. Sean Marks just took over. The Nets then were a laughingstock. They were coming off a season where they had the third pick in the draft, except it belonged to the Boston Celtics because the Celtics had owned, the Brooklyn Nets draft selections for the next, I believe, 3 years. For the next 3 years, in 2016, 2017, and 2018, the Nets owned the race. The Celtics owned the race of the Nets picks because of that, Sorry about that, but the Celtics owned the rights to the Nets picks because of that disastrous trade, back in 2013 to bring in a washed-up Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. That was a disastrous trade by Billy King. I mean, thank God they fired him, but more importantly, not only thank God that they fired Billy King, thank God that they hired Sean Marks. So just look at the Nets in that situation. They were in the worst situation on any NBA team, ever, really. They were in the worst situation of any NBA team in recent memory. They were at the bottom of the NBA without any of their own draft picks, because normally when teams are that act like that when they're that bad, when they're among the worst teams in the NBA, the NBA, they at least have control of their own first round draft picks, so they have the potential, to get, big time, franchise changing talents. The Nets never had the opportunity the Nets really never had the opportunity to do that because they never owned any of their first round picks. Thanks to that, obviously that disaster straight. They had no control. They had no control over their own first round picks. They had barely any assets aside from Thaddeus Young and Brook Lopez. Those are the only two assets that they have. And they were like a laughstock. Everyone thought that it was over for the Nets. Everyone thought that it was going to be years and years of suffering to come for the Brooklyn Nets. Everyone thought, everyone thought that the franchise was, done, basically. Then Sean Marks comes in, takes over, and using, the assets that he has, he manages to rebuild this team in like 3 years. And he manages to take over, and 3 years later, acquire two of the best players in the world. It's just unbelievable. You just cannot applaud Sean Marks enough for a job he's done. Because look at the job he's done. He had pretty much little to no assets, but using the assets he had, he managed to hit on a ton of the players. In 2016, it looks like he hit out of the park with Karis LeVert. In 2017, he selected Jared Allen. That looks like to be a very great pick. He found Spencer Dinwiddie. He found, Rodion Kooks in the second round, in the 2018 draft. He found Joe Harris, who's now one of the best who's now the reigning 3-point champion in the NBA. Not only doing the 3-point shooting contest, but he also had the highest field goal percentage for 3-pointers among qualified players, I believe, in the NBA this season. So Joe Harris, obviously, big emergence out of him, and obviously, taking a chance on D'Angelo Russell, who was a cast-off from the Lakers at the time. He brings him in, and D'Angelo also has one of the best seasons in Brooklyn. If an individual player in Brooklyn Nets franchise history. He has a breakout year. He makes the All-Star team. He carries the Nets to the playoffs, and he ultimately makes the Nets a desirable free agent destination. I want to just right now, I was going to do a Leonard show, but right now I may as well just get it out of the way. Thank you to we did it last show, but I'm going to do it again. This show. If you're a Nets fan, you cannot thank D'Angelo Russell enough for this, because honestly, let's look at where D'Angelo Russell. Similar to the way we looked at where the Nets were, a couple years ago. Let's look at where D'Angelo Russell was a couple years ago during that same time. He was just coming off that horrendous situation with Nick Young, the whole Nick Young Iguodala situation. I mean, that doesn't need any rephrasing. His reputation at that point as an NBA player could not be lower. Everyone viewed him as a snitch, bad teammate, not somebody you want in your locker room. His reputation, as an NBA player just could not have been lower. Then he ultimately, gets dumped by the Lakers in the ugliest way possible with Magic Johnson, basically insulting him in the worst possible way as he kicks him out the door. I mean, basically Magic Johnson saying, not a leader, not somebody teammates want to play with, not somebody who makes players better. He comes to the Brooklyn Nets, and what he does with the Brooklyn Nets, not only have the Nets helps reshape his image, because the Nets gave D'Angelo Russell exactly what he needed. That's an NBA player, because back in Los Angeles, he never really had anyway. He never really had the opportunity to grow up. He was still a teenager at the time. He was still 19 years old. He never really had an opportunity to mature during his time in Los Angeles, because he was just thrust into the spotlight at such a young age, and that culture there obviously is answer for players. I mean, I could go on and rant about how much of a dumpster fire the Lakers are. I mean, but they have they have no player development staff, and basically the culture there was just so unfriendly to young players. They have a ton of bad influences, ton of bad veteran leaders in the locker room aside for Kobe Bryant. Nick Young obviously was obviously everyone wants to blame D'Angelo Russell for the incident with him, and he does deserve quite a lot of the blame for that incident. But why not give a lot of the blame? But we also have to give a lot of the blame to Nick Young for that too, because who openly brags about cheating on their their partner in like that? Who just his whole character was just his whole character was shaky. It was just a bad influence on D'Angelo Russell, and obviously it showed during the incident, which obviously you can't make excuses for D'Angelo Russell. I mean, he did break a man code, and deserves a lot of criticism for that, but it wasn't something that really should have ruined his reputation. Like it did, like his reputation at that point was at the lowest. As his reputation at that point could not have been lower. Then he comes to the Nets. He goes to a much friendlier player development environment. Nets obviously have the best player development staff in the NBA. He comes into a great coach at King X, a guy who's known to get the best out of his players. King X and D'Angelo Russell form a great relationship that helps D'Angelo Russell thrive and help him become the player he was with Brooklyn. He burst out of the scene. He made the All-Star team he made the All-Star team for his first time in his career. He averaged 21.1 points, 7 assists, all career highs. He had his year, and he carries the Nets to the playoffs. I don't want to hear anything. It's the only reason the Nets made the playoffs. Sure, he wasn't the only reason, but he was pretty much the main reason, because during that season, obviously, Caris LeVert went down with that scary ankle injury. Spencer Dinwiddie went down that year as well for a month. But D'Angelo also played 81 of the 82 games, and he was that rock. He was the one constant during the next season that ultimately resulted in a playoff appearance, and he was just the one constant. He was the one constant during that season. He was the only he was pretty much the one constant during that season. Obviously I could go on about D'Angelo Russell, a season, the type of season he had and what he's done for the Nets. I could go on about that for hours, but obviously it's just none of this would have been possible, because I'm also going to ask you Nets fans, I'm also going to ask NBA fans, and there aren't that many, but I've seen a few people try to downgrade the opponents of D'Angelo Russell to Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving coming here. I want to ask you this: if D'Angelo Russell doesn't have the breakout season that he has, do the Nets ultimately lure Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving? Because if the Nets don't make the playoffs that year, I do not think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving ultimately come to Brooklyn. So if D'Angelo Russell has the breakout season that he had, do Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant ultimately come to Brooklyn? I bet my money on no to that. Probably not. They probably would not have come to Brooklyn. So D'Angelo Russell deserves all the credit in the world for helping the Nets making the Nets, a desirable free agent destination. The Nets deserve all the credit in the world for changing D'Angelo Russell's reputation. You look around the league, D'Angelo Russell has gained a lot of respect, around the league. Players like Dwayne Wade, players like LeBron James, players like Russell Westbrook, Stephen Curry. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. Later on. We'll get into that. Later on in the show as well. So. We'll get to that later. We'll get into that later on, and we'll get into that later on the show as well. Before we go break, I'll get into that. But D'Angelo Russell, to D'Angelo Russell, as a lifelong Nets fan, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for making Brooklyn Nets basketball fun to watch again. Thank you for making Thank you for being such a great leader in the locker room. Thank you for helping establish this thank you for helping establish the Nets as a primetime free agent destination, and just thank you for as she says as it sounds, making the Brooklyn Nets great again. And now he's going to be on his way to the Golden State Warriors. I think that's an amazing situation for D'Angelo Russell. There are a lot of rumors that the Warriors are going to trade D'Angelo Russell. I personally think that would be a mistake. Because if you look at Stephen Curry, he's not necessarily getting older, but I believe he's 30 years old. Steph Curry's 30 years old. Like, you don't know how many years he has left. And D'Angelo Russell's, 23. So in, in like 3 or 4 years, like when Stephen Curry like starts, to fade away a little bit, D'Angelo Russell will be in his prime, probably be a superstar player, and he could take the role from Stephen Curry as, the star of the Golden State Warriors. I think he fits perfectly into the Golden State Warriors system, like, because D'Angelo Russell's like because one of the D'Angelo Russell's greatest strengths is his passing. So if you play D'Angelo Russell at the point, he'll be able to rack up 20 points, 10 assists a game by just passing, by just being that facilitator and getting the ball to Stephen Curry and getting him to Klay Thompson when he gets back and getting them wide open shots. He'll be a great facilitator from the Golden State Warriors, and D'Angelo Russell, as I said before, bringing him into a great environment for the Nets, he's going to be in just a great environment with the Golden State Warriors, because Steph Curry will obviously be, in my opinion, the perfect mentor from D'Angelo Russell. Also, Klay Thompson will be a perfect mentor for D'Angelo Russell. I think D'Angelo Russell is, ultimately could not have wound up in a better spot. And you just gotta tip your hat to Sean Moxley, and that's once again for taking care of D'Angelo Russell that way. Because obviously it's a business, you're not gonna make a trade that doesn't make sense. But for the Nets, they could have just renounced D'Angelo Russell and just let him walk. Say, hey, we're renouncing you. Just go sign somewhere. No, they did everything they could to get him to the situation where they get him to the best possible landing spot for him. They did everything in their power to get D'Angelo Russell to the best possible to his for his preferred situation. They did everything in their power to get D'Angelo Russell to the ultimately his perfect landing spot, the Golden State Warriors. They really just did it right by D'Angelo Russell, and you just gotta applaud the Nets for being that kind of level of a class act organization, because the Nets they know that without D'Angelo Russell, like, none of the signs of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, would not have been possible. So like the Nets know that, and they ultimately knew that they knew that they didn't necessarily have to repay D'Angelo Russell like this. They didn't have to do this, but they knew it was ultimately that morally it was the right thing to do. It was something they didn't have to do, but they did it right. You just got once again applaud Sean Moxley and applaud Kenny Atkinson for being the first class organization they are. So once again, D'Angelo Russell, thank you for everything. Thank you for being thank you for representing Brooklyn. Thank you for being thank you for embracing the Brooklyn Nets, the new Brooklyn Nets culture. Thank you for embodying all the attributes of the Brooklyn Nets. It's value, player development, leadership, just all that, and playing hard, Brooklyn grit, all that, going hard, He embodied everything that the Brooklyn Nets rebuild was all about, and none of this, none of these, acquisitions, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, would have been possible without D'Angelo Russell. So, D'Angelo Russell, from a lifelong Nets fan, thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. I wish you all the best with the Golden State Warriors. Thanks for listening to the Fire and Thunder Sports Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe to Super Adam 66 for more of the podcast, as well as more sports and entertainment content. Also follow on Twitter and Instagram at Grassani6. Club. So we're talking Brooklyn Nets basketball. Obviously, the Kyrie Irving signing, Nets signed Kyrie Irving. It's official. It's done. We're waiting on the Kevin Durant, signing trade for D'Angelo Russell, also to become official. We're waiting on that, but it is going to happen, barring anything insane. Which, if that case, I will break down crying on the air. So, but luckily none of that is expected to happen. So. But luckily, none of that should happen. If that happened, I would literally start breaking out crying on the air. But let's talk about that. Let's just talk about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Obviously, just coming to Brooklyn, just from a I figure maybe I'd get into all the nitty of it, but I'm gonna do all that on next week's show, because obviously it's a bridge show today, because obviously we had trouble getting to the studio, but which I said earlier, but I'll save all that stuff to talk from I'll save all that talk for next week, or will I? I don't know. I'm making the show up as I go along. You know, I'm making up the show as I go along. So, and as I always do. So, but just let's just talk about signing Kevin Durant and Kyrie from just a Nets culture perspective and a Nets franchise perspective. Obviously, let's just continue to talk about where we were before we got into all the D'Angelo Russell, stuff. Just think of just what this means from this franchise. Just think of what it means from Brooklyn Nets basketball in general. Because obviously, 3 years ago, the Nets were obviously the laughingstock of the league. They were, the little brother to the New York Knicks, even though the New York Knicks even though the Knicks are even more of a dumpster fire than the Nets are. It's at that time, but obviously, just don't tell that to any Knicks fans. But don't tell that to any Knicks fans. But just the Nets were a laughingstock during that time period. The Nets during that time were a joke, and just but even then, even when the Nets were good, even during cough the Darren Williams days, like when the Nets were relatively decent, but they always, they got bounced in the second round, they got bounced in the first round, but they made the playoffs a couple of times. But even during the Jason Kidd days, so the Nets were going to back-to-back Eastern Conference championships, where the Nets were going to back-to-back, NBA Finals. Even during that time, the team was still, known as, the little brother to the New York Knicks. The quote-unquote inferior team to the New York Knicks, even though the Nets have been in the playoffs 10 times in the last 20 years. We know the Knicks have been to 5. The Nets have been in NBA Finals 2 times in the last 20 years. The Knicks have been to, I believe, none. I believe none, even just... even because basically we're labeled as the little brother to the New York Knicks. We're labeled as the irrelevant basketball team of New York City. What this does is now those days are over. The days of the Nets being the quote-unquote inferior, the irrelevant basketball team in New York City, those days are over. With this signing, the Nets have become one of the most relevant teams in the NBA. With these two signings, the Nets have become one of the most relevant teams in the NBA. Because now they're going to be competing for not only the Eastern Conference, but to compete for a championship over the next 4 years, especially over the next, especially over not after this season, the next 3 seasons after that, once Kevin Durant is back and is hopefully fully healthy. So the Nets are gonna be competing for championships when that eventually does happen. So what the Nets are doing right now, obviously the Nets obviously notorious for having no fan base. The Nets were last in attendance, in the NBA, last season. What the Nets are doing right now, they're building their own fan base. Because the Nets never, aside from me and like 30 other Nets fans, the Nets basically had no fan base during the Jersey days. Even then, and half the fan base back in Jersey abandoned them when they went to Brooklyn because they were ticked off that they left New Jersey. I mean, whatever. I decided to stick with the team when they moved to Brooklyn. So you call that. Now they're trying to establish a fan base in Brooklyn. They tried to do that early on, early in this days when they brought in Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, Gerald Wallace, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. They tried to build the fan base then. Ultimately, it crashed and burned. It ended up biting them back in the rear side. So obviously now, let's fail to build a fan base then. The Nets right now are building their fan base in Brooklyn. The Nets are building their fan base across New York City and the tri-state area. The Nets are building, the Nets are building right now. The Nets are building right now their the Nets are building right now their fan base. The Nets are building are building their the Nets are building their fan base. The Nets are building their building their brand, as you would say. They're elevating their Nets are elevating their brand across not only just New York basketball but the NBA in general. Because remember 3 years ago? Remember these past 5 years? There was always one team that no matter where you go, like you could go to the Point Pleasant, the Yankees, where like you could walk around New York City, you could just walk around the area that you will see jerseys of that team or of that player. Remember 2 years ago it was UCLA recently you would see a lot of Warriors jerseys, a lot of Steph Curry jerseys, a lot of Kevin Durant jerseys, some Klay Thompson jerseys, and all that stuff. Sometimes you would see, Cleveland Cavalier LeBron jerseys, or Cleveland Cavalier, Kyrie Irving jerseys when the Cleveland Cavaliers won that championship in 2016. A couple years before that, you would see a lot of Heat jerseys, a lot of Miami Heat LeBron jerseys, a lot of Miami Heat Dwayne Wade jerseys, all that. And all that. Now, in these next couple of years, these next 4 years, you're gonna see a lot of Brooklyn Nets jerseys. You're gonna see a lot of Brooklyn Nets, Brooklyn Nets fans. You're gonna see a lot of people wearing Brooklyn Nets gear. You're gonna see a lot of people wearing Brooklyn Nets Kevin Durant jerseys. You're gonna see a lot of people wearing Brooklyn Nets Kyrie Irving jerseys and Kyrie Irving apparel and Kevin Durant apparel. All that. Nets are right now building their brand and building their fan base, which is always a great thing going forward, because what the Nets have done right now, they have established themselves as a free agent destination. This past season, they've established themselves as a place that players want to come and play for. Even if the Knicks do, somehow become relevant again, which I'll eventually get to, which I'll eventually get into the Knicks later on in the show, but I don't know what I'm talking about, but just moving forward, the Nets even the Knicks do become relevant again, the Nets will still be an attractive free agent destination, because they'll hopefully be coming off they'll still have all the young talent in Caris LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie. They'll still be, a desirable place to play, because they've established that now. They've established themselves as a relevant NBA franchise. They've established themselves as, right now, the better of the two New York teams. They've established themselves right now as a place that players want to play. Because everything you hear about the Nets, and the reason why Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant wanted to come to Brooklyn, obviously from Kevin Durant's side, Nets have probably the best medical team in the NBA. The doctor that performed the surgery to repair, Kevin Durant's torn Achilles, the doctor that performed surgery on his Achilles is, Doctor. I forget his name. I have his name right here. I'm gonna pop it up right now. Dr. Martin O'Malley, is the doctor who performed the surgery on Kevin Durant's Achilles. Is one of the Nets team doctors. One of the Nets team doctors. So the Nets obviously the Nets medical staff is, arguably the best in the NBA. The Nets training facility, you hear players all the time rave about how great, the Nets training facility is. Obviously the culture there, everyone raves out the Brooklyn Nets culture, their player development system, how they always, how they help players develop, help players become the best versions of themselves, help players become the best that they can possibly be. The way to develop their players, and obviously the culture surrounding Brooklyn, the culture surrounding the team. You see players, this past season you always saw the Nets bench, going crazy with their self. We saw the Nets, going crazy with their bench up. Their bench celebrations. You saw the Nets go crazy with bench celebrations and all that. You saw the Nets going crazy with all. You saw players going crazy with all that stuff. You just saw something building in Brooklyn. You just see the culture that the Nets have established. You see the type of organizations that the Nets have established themselves to be. They've established themselves as a first-class organization that players want to play for, and they've established themselves with that. With that, not only by actually becoming that, but just establishing that with the signings of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. The Nets have established themselves as one of the first-class franchises in the NBA with these two signings. And again, you just cannot applaud Sean Marks enough. You cannot applaud Kenny Atkinson enough, because you just can't applaud them enough. Because now let's look across the river. I want to get this in before we officially switch baseball. I also squeeze this in. All the Knicks fans are getting so arrogant. They were so shocked at, oh my God, how did Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving choose the Nets over us. We have Madison Square Garden. We're the New York Knicks. We have all this history. Guess what, Knicks? You have been irrelevant for. Guess what, Knicks fans? Your team has been irrelevant. You've been the worst team in the NBA for the past 20 years. You've been a laughingstock for the past 2 decades. You expect just because you're in the Knicks, you think you're entitled to get all the best players. You think just because the Knicks, players want to play for you. You think just because you have Madison Square Garden and all this glitz and glamour, the players are automatically go on to play for you. Well, guess what, Knicks? With this season, you have learned, with this free agency, with this offseason, you have learned that is not true. You have learned that just because you are the Knicks, and just because you have Madison Square Garden, just because of name alone, that players, just because of that, players still are not going to want to play for you. Because what Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving saw when comparing the two franchises, the Knicks and the Nets, you look at the Knicks, a dysfunctional organization under James Dolan, one of the worst teams in the NBA. Drama there pops up there constantly, also with James Dolan making a fool out of him. So there's always drama going on with the Knicks, and there's always drama going on with There's always drama going on with the Knicks, and then you look at the Nets, a stable franchise, a stable organization, and it's just everything about the Nets is stable. The Nets are a stable organization. Obviously, we went for all the reasons that we said earlier: the training facility, the culture there, all the reasons we just mentioned. Nets established themselves as a more desirable free agent destination than the New York Knicks. But Knicks fans just feel like, oh, they're the Nets. They just rely. They just think of just name alone. They think, oh, they're the Nets. They are not a free agent destination. We're the Knicks. We're a free agent destination. We're, the team that Kevin Durant and Kyrie are going to come to. Because we're the Knicks. Well, guess what, Knicks? Guess what, Dolan? You thought that alone was going to land you, those big time free agents. And guess what happened? You failed. And Knicks fans are just so arrogant and so cocky and so condescending that, oh my god, that they just thought that this was never gonna happen. And right now, Knicks are shifting. They're saying, "Oh, we didn't want Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving anyway. The Kyrie Irving's a cancer. He's gonna ruin the Nets. Kevin Durant, who has ever come back from an Achilles injury, he's gonna be 2% of what he was, and this is all gonna blow up in the Nets' face. We're the Knicks. We know what we're doing. We got Julius Randle. He's the best player in New York. R.J. Barrett's gonna be a future superstar. Ha 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 ha. I mean." To all Knicks fans are just delusional. They're arrogant when they have no right to be. I mean, it's different with fan bases. Like, we're dealing with fan bases like the Patriots. The Patriots have a fan base as arrogant as the F word that unfortunately I cannot say on FCC Airways. They're arrogant as you know what. But you know what? They at least have the right to be arrogant as you know what, because obviously the Patriots are the best dynasty that the NFL has ever seen. They're one of the best dynasties that football has ever seen. So the Patriots fans, they may be arrogant, but at least they can back it up. The Patriots can at least back up their arrogance. Red Sox fans, I can't stand the Red Sox, but you know what? They may be arrogant. They can at least back up their arrogance. The Golden State Warriors, everyone hates Warriors fans, but you know what? They can at least back up their arrogance. The truth of the matter is, I just rant about this. As a New Jersey Devils fan, I'm wearing Devils gear right now. I cannot stand the New York Rangers. I can't stand the Rangers. They're our arch rivals. I can't stand the Rangers. I can't stand the paint. I can't stand the fan base. But you know what? They're a well-run organization. That organization, knows what it's doing, as we reach the top of the hour here on 9.3 WMC up in Montclair, New Jersey. So, as we approach the top of the hour here, because the Rangers are at least still a well-run organization. So the Rangers have had an amazing offseason, arguably just as good, if not better, of an offseason. The Devils side, they made a big free agency signing of, I believe, Arnon, I believe is how we pronounce his name. Obviously, they got him. They got Trouba, the great defensive from Winnipeg. They drafted Kaapo Kakko. There's something building going on there with the New York Rangers. So the Rangers fans, y'all may be arrogant as you know what, but you know what? They can at least back it up. the New York Knicks fans, they're so arrogant. They have nothing to be arrogant about. They have nothing to back up their arrogance. They have nothing, and yet they just act like they're just so condescending. Greg Giannotti and all those other Knick fans. And those other Knicks fans, y'all make me sick. Y'all are so arrogant when y'all have won nothing in the past, how many years? Y'all have just been, y'all been a laughstock, and y'all act like you're the kings of New York, and y'all act like it was a laughable notion that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving could come to Brooklyn. Who's laughing now? Getting back to the New York Knicks, and a message to the New York Knicks and their arrogant fan base and their arrogant owner. Here's what you can learn from the Brooklyn Nets by striking out free agency and missing on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, which again, there's a bunch of rumors that the Knicks weren't going to offer a maximum Kevin Durant, and the Knicks weren't going to offer a max to Kevin Durant. I'm going to call BS on that, and now even if that's true, it just proves how dysfunctional the Knicks are. Number one, and you weren't willing to give Kevin Durant a max because of his torn Achilles, but you were willing to give a max from Amari Stoudemire. When you compare Kevin Durant and Amari Stoudemire, the two aren't even comparable. The two are like miles apart. You're mentioning, you can't even mention Amari Stoudemire in the same sentence as Kevin Durant. So that notion there is laughable. And two, the team that knew Kevin Durant the best, the Golden State Warriors, they offered him a max. The team that whose doctor operated this torn Achilles surgery on Kevin Durant, that team offered him a max. Don't you think those two teams know more about Kevin Durant's injury than you do, New York Knicks? Don't you think those teams know more about Kevin Durant's health than you do, and yet they offered him the max? So why couldn't you offer him the max? So again, it's just another thing of the Knicks trying to damage control and always trying to control a narrative that they're still that's up to New York. They actually know what to do, even though they've proven time and time again that they don't. The Knicks have proven time and time again that they're a dysfunctional organization. James Dolan has no idea what he's doing, and fans want him to sell the team, and rightfully so, because I've always said this before, I don't think the Knicks are ever going to win NBA championship and surpass the Nets right now as the best NBA franchise in New York. I don't think that's ever going to happen unless James Dolan sells the team or gets his act together. So, just for all you Knicks fans out there, I was trashing y'all, in the beginning of back before the top of the hour. Now at the top of the hour, I'm gonna try to give you some direction. I'm gonna try to establish a direction for y'all. I'm gonna try to tell you what the Knicks have to do right now, what they've learned from and what they should learn from this, and what they should learn from missing out on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Here's what y'all need to learn from this: the appeal of Madison Square Garden and the Knicks on name alone is no more. Because again, the Knicks expected the Knicks, when they made the trade for Kristaps Porzingis, when they trade Kristaps Porzingis and they cleared up all that cap space, they thought that just because they were the Knicks and just because they were Madison Square Garden, just because of all that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would want to come to them. They thought that big time free agents want to come to them based on name alone. And guess what? It didn't happen. Want to know why? Because the Kevin Durant and Kyrie were able to see beyond that. When you look at the Knicks, they had no good young players at the time. They won 17 games. I believe that was the worst record in the NBA. They've shown time and time again they've shown time and time again of organization dysfunction. The latest example being trying to damage control, like the fact that they missed out on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving with lies. With outright lies and lying to the American public. That's a sign of dysfunction. James Dolan getting into a fight with a fan, banging him from Madison Square Garden just because he's trying to sell the team. That's a sign of dysfunction, and just all the controversies around the Knicks makes them an unattractive free agent destination. So, just because you're Madison Square Garden and just because you're the New York Knicks, it does not mean the players want to play for you. I feel when we look at what the Nets have built, stable organization. Sean Marks and KX know what they're doing. Sean Marks is one of the best GMs in the business, and KX has proven time and time again of how great of a coach he is by developing his players and getting the most out of his players, getting the most out of Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, D'Angelo Russell, Ryan Crooks, and Jared Allen, all those other guys. He knows how to get the best out of his players. There's the culture that the Nets have established, players going nuts. Players going, nuts on the bench, teammates, obviously getting along, having fun, that's something that players was not. Can you remember a time, when the Knicks bench was, that excited when, a teammate score or stuff like that? Can you remember a time when the Knicks bench, showed that type of chemistry? I don't remember that, so that's another thing. Also, the training facility, the training facility that they built, the medical team that they built, just how player friendly that the Nets organization is. That's what the Knicks. That's what the Knicks need to do. They need to look at themselves in the mirror and say, okay, players aren't going to want to play for us just because we're the Knicks. The repeal Madison Square Garden, and all that, and players want to play for us just because we're the Knicks. Those days are over. That's never going to happen anymore. And a lot of people are saying, people out there are saying, the Knicks are signing a bunch of 2-year deals so they can get Giannis in 2021. Number one, you think it just, number one, we don't even know if Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be leaving the Milwaukee Bucks years. And the Milwaukee Bucks, just came within, 2 wins of going to the NBA Finals. They came within 2 wins of potentially going to the NBA Finals. So Giannis is in a great situation for the Bucks. So who knows if who knows if he even wants to leave the Bucks. And number two, even if Giannis does decide to leave the Bucks, who's gonna say it's gonna come to the Knicks? The Knicks just missed out on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Who thinks it's gonna be any different 2 years from now out with the Knicks? Who's to say it's gonna be any different? 2 years from now. So putting all your eggs in the Giannis Antetokounmpo 2021 basket is not a smart move. What the Knicks need to do right now is do what the Nets did. Develop from within. Acquire young players. Develop young players. Develop RJ Barrett into an all-star. Develop Kevin Knox into a really solid player. Develop, Dennis Smith Jr. into a really, really good point guard. Develop what's the name of their center again? I can look up right now. But develop all their young players and develop RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett is gonna be the key to this. If he could become an all-star level player, if he could become that type of if he could become an all-star level player, he's gonna be able to draw. He's gonna be a big name that players are gonna want to play with. That could be your key to getting Giannis in 2021. If you want to dream about that, if you want to dream about getting Giannis in 2021 or another free agent down the line, RJ Barrett is going to be the guy that you have to develop into an all-star. He's going to be a guy that's going to be your D'Angelo Russell, let's just say that. He's going to be the guy that you're going to develop into an all-star, develop into a star player. That's the guy that you're going to have to develop into that type of star player. Because if you do that, a free agent, like, just say, in some free agent, a few years from now, like 4 years from now, or let's just say, for example, Giannis is going to look at that and say, hey, I could go to the Knicks. I could play with RJ Barrett. I could play with all this. I could play with all this. I could play with all this young talent, and then maybe they'll end up considering the Knicks then. But just expecting that the Knicks are gonna that Knicks fans and don't expecting that they're gonna choose the Knicks just because of name alone. That didn't happen with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. What Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant did was ultimately go to the better organization, the team that just got off a 42-win season and just made the playoffs. So they looked at that organization and said, hey, there's a really great culture they're establishing with the Nets. They have a great training facility. They have a great, they have a great coach. They have a great general manager. Their team had just made the playoffs. They still have even if D'Angelo Russell goes, they still have Karis LeVert. They still have Spencer Dinwiddie. They still have Joe Harris. They still have Ryan Crooks. They still have Zan Musa, who's on the rise and I expect to play a big role for the Nets this upcoming season. They still have Jared Allen, who could potentially become one of the best centers in the NBA. They still have Karis LeVert, who could potentially become an all-star player. So they still have all this young talent. The Nets still have like all this. The Nets still have plenty of talent. They have more young talent that's better than the Knicks young talent. So Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving saw that and said, "Hey, we can win a championship if we go here and we could be the last two pieces. We can easily win a championship with this team." So, and obviously the situation there and how great of an environment there in Brooklyn, that's the place you want to go. So let's go to the Nets. That's the reason why. And again, I heard this before on WFAN. I forget who was on the air at the time, but whoever was on the radio, they mentioned that this is justice. He was the Knicks guy. He mentions this. Justice was served here. The team that earned Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Because let's look what the Nets did again. They rebuilt their culture. They rebuilt the team in 3 years from literally rock bottom. The Nets rebuilt themselves from rock bottom. Sean Marks came in and rebuilt the team from pretty much when Sean Marks came in and into the team at 2016 when he first took over as the general manager. The Nets were pretty much at their lowest point as of any franchise could get. They were at the lowest point that any NBA franchise has ever been. They were at the bottom of the NBA with no control of their own first round picks and pretty much no assets. So what Sean Marks comes in, and in 3 years he manages to turn that around. He went through a process. They were patient. They didn't try to do a quick fix like the Knicks did by trading Porzingis, and they tried. That's what the Knicks did. They tried to do a quick fix and expected just because they're the Knicks, they're gonna get the big time players. Well, guess what, James Dolan? Guess what, Knicks fans? Y'all failed. So when you look at the Nets, they were patient. They developed young players. They took a chance at D'Angelo Russell. It ultimately paid out. They took a chance at Karis LeVert. Remember, Karis LeVert was supposed to, in his draft year in 2016, he was supposed to be a lottery pick, but then he dealt with a lot of injuries and he ultimately fell to the Nets. The Nets took a chance on him, and so far it looks like it's paid off. They took a chance on Jared Allen, with the later first round pick. So far, that's playing out well. Jared Allen could become like one of the best centers in the NBA if continues this development and ultimately reaches his potential. They took a chance. They took a flyer on Spencer Dinwiddie. He's become one of the best sixth man in the NBA. They took a chance on Joe Harris. They developed him into one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. So that's what the Nets did. They established themselves, and they established a bunch of role players. They established a bunch of, and they took all these players and they developed them into some could be all-star caliber players, but even if they aren't, they were either solid starting players or just solid role players. They built a solid core of players and with that solid core of players, they made a playoffs that last year. They won 42 games. They won 42 games. That's what the Brooklyn Nets did. The Nets worked their way. They earned their way to becoming a desirable free agent destination and getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They earned it. They stayed patient. They developed all the young players. They established a culture there. And Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson earned the rights to sign, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. They earned that. The Knicks expected them to just. The Knicks that are so arrogant and entitled of an organization and fan base, they just expected it to just be handed to them. No, they never earned it. They expected it to be handed to them. No, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant went to a team that earned it. That earned the right to be a desirable free agent destination. That earned the right to make the playoffs. They earned everything. They went to a team that earned. Then Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant went to a team that earned and deserved them. Basically, they went to a team that was deemed worthy of their talents. The Knicks expected them to just come there based on name alone. Well, guess what? Y'all failed. So it's time for the Knicks to learn from what the Nets did. Learn from what the Nets did. Knicks need to look themselves in the mirror and say, "Hey, we're no longer the free agent destination we used to be. Players aren't going to want to come to play for us just to play in the garden. That allure of playing Madison Square Garden, the allure of being a New York Knicks, those days are over. We cannot expect players to just come to play for us just because we're in Knicks anymore. We can't expect that to happen. So what we need to do is do what the Nets did. Just stay the course and acquire and develop young players. And they also acquired Julius Randle. He's still 24 years old, so he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. He could become a big time player. Obviously, Kevin Knox. You drafted him last year. We'll see what happens with him. Develop him into a solid starting player. Dennis Smith Jr. You should have drafted him back in 2017, but Phil Jackson obviously messed that up. But you still acquired him in the Porzingis trade. Develop him into a really good starting point guard in the NBA. And obviously RJ Barrett again, as you mentioned before, is key to this. His development will be the key to whether or not to the Knicks succeeding and failing in a rebuild. He will be the key to how quick the Knicks can become a desirable free agent destination again. He's going to be the key to whether or not the Knicks ultimately succeed in their long-term vision. RJ Barrett is going to be ultimately the key. RJ Barrett is ultimately going to be the key of this. His development. If the Knicks can develop him into an all-star player and a player worthy of being the third overall pick in the draft, if the Knicks can develop him and have him reach the ceiling, that's going to be a huge win for the Knicks. So this plays because let's say whether the next free agency classes. Obviously, 2019 free agency was the free agency was the free agency year. All the teams looked at this and said, as the free agency year that teams would clean cap space for this year. Teams would clean cap space for the 2019 free agency class because they knew it was going to be one of the best free agency classes in a long time. Alright, so what the Knicks need to do is need to get ready for whatever that next free agency class is. Whenever, let's just say for example, Giannis. Let's say that for example. They need to get ready for whatever the next time big free agency class is, and stay patient with the young players and develop a culture there. Develop a culture there of young players. Develop Kevin Knox and Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, Dennis Smith Jr. Develop all their young players and let's just look whatever next free agency class is. Let's say again, Giannis, for some reason decided to leave the Milwaukee Bucks. I have no idea why he would leave the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's just say, for example, he does. He leaves the Milwaukee Bucks, he looks to the Knicks, and he looks to the Knicks 2 years from now. RJ Barrett is an all-star, Julius Randle is one of the best power forwards in the NBA. Dennis Smith Jr. is one of the better point guards in the NBA, and Kevin Knox is a really great small all forward for them. Giannis can look at the Knicks and say, hey, I could be the last piece here. I could be the last piece on a championship team here. I'm gonna go to the Knicks. And then the Knicks, you guys now have Dennis Smith Jr. at point. You have, I believe, let's say Kevin Knox comes your RJ Barrett as your shooting guard. You have Kevin Knox as your small forward. You have Giannis as your power forward, and you have Julius Randle as your center. That could be a really, deadly, that could be a really deadly style. And as a Nets fan, that's something that I would, be very fearful of. Even with Kyrie being Kevin Durant and Karis LeVert specifically, that type of starting five that the Knicks would have, that would be a really scary start. That would be, a really scary starting five. But again, Knicks just cannot assume 2 years from now that Giannis is going to want to come to Knicks. Because again, number one, we don't know if Giannis is going to want to leave the Bucks, and number two, if Giannis does want to leave the Bucks, we have no idea if the Knicks were going to become a desirable free agency destination then. But again, what the Knicks have to do now is get ready for whenever a big time player hits the market. Get ready for whenever a big time player becomes a free agent. That's what the Nets did. They got ready for when Kevin Durant was going to become a free agent. They got ready for when Kyrie was going to become a free agent. They got ready. They got ready for whenever that happened. They stayed patient with their young players. They had that in mind the whole time. 2019 was going to be the year that 2019. That was the year that the Nets had in mind this whole time. And they had that in mind. And during that time, since 2016, they developed all these young players. They developed Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, D'Angelo Russell, Jared Allen, Ronnie Alkuru, all those guys that I mentioned. They developed all of those young players, and they established the culture and established the Nets as a big-time free agency destination. Nets established themselves as a big-time, free agency destination. And this offseason, they looked at the Knicks directly in the eye. They looked at James Dolan. Sean Marks looked at James Dolan, and the Knicks looked directly in the eye and said, "We're better than you. We're a better team than you. We won 42 games. We won 17 games. We're a better team than you. We're a better run organization than you. We deserve all these big-time free agents, and you do, and you don't. We deserve to beat you guys out for all these big-time free agents. You don't. And we're going to do that. We're going to beat you guys to all the big-time free agents in the NBA." And that's it. They beat out the Knicks for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Who cares what James Dolan says? Again, James Dolan, you're not willing to give Kevin Durant max, one of the best, a player who could be go down as one of the best players in the history of the NBA. Go down as one of the best, probably the best offensive player in NBA history. You're gonna pass on that, but you weren't willing to give Kevin Durant, you weren't willing to give Kevin Durant, that type of player a chance, but you were willing to give, Amari Stoudemire a chance with his banged up knees. So give me a break, give me a break, James Dolan. Did I say Phil Jackson earlier? If I did say Phil Jackson earlier, I'm sorry. I meant James Dolan. James Dolan, you weren't willing to take a chance on Kevin Durant because of his Achilles injury, even though he's could go down as one of the best players in NBA history and the best offensive player in NBA history. But you weren't willing to take a chance on that guy because of his Achilles injury. But you were willing to take a chance on, Amari Stoudemire, even though his knees are banged up. Please, so I don't believe that for a second. But the Knicks need to get ready for whenever. So regardless of what James Dolan says, the Knicks lost to the Nets in free agency because the Knicks lost to the better team. The Knicks lost to the better organization. The Knicks lost to the better run organization. They lost to the better team and the better run organization. So what the Knicks need to do now is they're at the bottom right now. They were the worst team in the NBA. Work their way up. Develop Kevin Knox. Develop Julius Randle. Julius Randle is still relatively young. He still has, some things to develop up on. Julius Randle still hasn't reached the ceiling. Develop, Dennis Smith Jr. and obviously develop RJ Barry. If they can develop all four of those guys to their ceilings, and also draft well. That's another thing the Knicks need to do. They haven't drafted well over these past couple of years. They've missed on a lot of guys. They've drafted guys and they failed to develop them. They've drafted players. They've drafted players. They also return to be bust. Use some of your draft. You acquire some draft picks. Draft better players. Draft some key players, and build your team that way. Build from the ground up. Build the foundation, and if you can do that, see how fast players will ultimately want to come to play the Knicks. Because the Knicks because all the stuff that the Knicks thought they have that they didn't, the allure masks were going to play for the Knicks. See how fast that allure comes back when you ultimately run your organization the right way and actually build a solid culture and core. Once the Knicks build their solid culture and core, if the Knicks can do that, if they can build a solid culture with the Knicks, if they can build the culture and build a core of young players, they will finally once again establish themselves as a premier free agency destination in the NBA. Thanks for listening to the Fire and Thunder Sports Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe to Super Adam 66 for more of the podcast, as well as more sports and entertainment content. Also follow on Twitter and Instagram at Grassani6. So, the New York Mets, I tweeted this out earlier last night. The New York Mets are the gift that keeps on giving to New York Sports Talk Radio. So, so the Mets are giving us a gift right now. Why not unwrap it? So, for those of you who haven't heard, Mets general manager Brodie Van Wagenen was not happy with the coaching staff during a meeting they had, to put it lightly. So Brodie Van Wagenen just recently had a meeting Friday, last Friday, 7-2 loss to the Philadelphia Phillies. That was the game where Edwin Diaz deployed once again in the ninth inning, allowing 4 runs to in the loss to the Philadelphia Phillies. So Van Wagenen had a meeting with his coaching staff, including Mickey Callaway and the so Van Wagenen had a meeting with Mickey. So Van Wagenen had a meeting with Mickey. So Van Wagenen had a meeting with Mickey Callaway. So Van Wagenen had a meeting with Mickey Callaway and the coach staff, and he was not with the coach staff. It was a heated meeting that resulted in Van Wagenen throwing a chair, according to club sources. This is from Mike Puma on the New York Post. I'm just trying to break down this story. So basically, Van Wagenen threw a chair during. So basically, Brodie Van Wagenen, Mets general manager, had a meeting with the coaching staff. Mickey Callaway was there, and it was a heated meeting. Like, Van Wagenen was furious at the coaching staff, and he ended up throwing a chair. So I just want to say this to Brodie Van Wagenen. If he is, let's just say right now he is unhappy with Mickey Callaway, which how could you not be unhappy with Mickey Callaway? Mickey Callaway has done a terrible job as manager of the Mets. I'm not denying that. I think Callaway's good job is all but gone. I think his job is all but cooked. So I'm not denying that Mickey Callaway has not been great with the Mets. But I just want to say this to Brodie Van Wagenen. But I just want to say this to Brodie and but I just want to say this to bro. So I just want to say this to Brodie Van Wagenen. You had a chance to find Mickey Callaway, back earlier in the season. I forget when it was, but it was about a month ago. You had the perfect opportunity to fire Mickey Callaway. There was a meeting that you were saying you were gonna have. You announced like a meeting. Everyone expected, this is the time when Mickey Callaway is gonna be fired, because it made sense to fire Mickey Callaway. Mickey Callaway wasn't Brodie Van Wagenen's guy. He was not hired during his time there. He was not there. He was not, Brodie Van Wagenen's guy, because Brodie Van Wagenen never hired him. That wasn't his, general manager. So a lot of people were speculating that the Mets were just gonna have Van Wagenen start to have Mickey Callaway start the season as Mickey Callaway start the season as manager, and if things were to go off the rails, that Mickey Callaway's job would be gone. That's what everyone speculated when Van Wagenen held that meeting. That he was going to ultimately fire Mickey Callaway, because the Mets season was going, down the drain. It was going down the hill. It would have been the perfect time to fire Mickey Callaway and bring in someone else. Instead, Van Wagenen doubled down on Mickey Callaway and said, "Hey, we believe in him. He's our manager. He's our guy." So at that moment, Mickey Callaway became Van Wagenen's guy. Brodie Van Wagenen, Mickey Callaway became your guy when you doubled that. I don't know. Mickey Callaway became your guy when you Mickey Callaway became your guy when you ultimately doubled down on him. And for those of you who were thinking, the Mets were never gonna fire Van Wagenen, I remember that when the Wilpons were interviewing general managers, like the candidates for the next general manager, one of the questions they asked was, how would you feel if we fired the manager earlier in the season? That was one of the questions they asked. That was one of the questions. That was one of the questions that they asked. So that was one of the questions that the Wilpons and the Mets ownership asked general manager can't. That was one of the questions the Wilpons asked the general manager. Sorry, I'm sorry guys, we're having sorry guys, it was just sorry guys, I was just sending out something right there. So as soon as that happened, Mickey Cowley became Van Wagenen's guy. Brodie Van Wagenen said, and once he doubled down on Mickey Cowley, that became his guy. So anything that so now that Mickey Cowley's not doing a good job, is just as much Brodie Van Wagenen's fault as it is Mickey Cowley for keeping it. A lot of people say, oh, it's just Mickey Cowley's fault that the Mets have not lived up to expectations this season. Brodie Van Wagenen is just as much to blame. Look at all the moves he's made. Name one move that has worked out. A lot of people, including myself, love the Edwin Diaz trade, the trade for Edwin Diaz. But ultimately, he hasn't lived up to his potential. But ultimately, he's been a disappointment. And not only that, they had to take on Robinson Cano's contract, who's been atrocious this season. Not only is he not hustling, he's not hitting either. A lot of times, we'd always put up with Robinson Cano just because Robinson Cano's hustle or lack thereof, just because he would hit. Robinson Cano's not hitting at all. And now that you got the deal with Robinson Cano's contract for 5 more years, that trade right now is looking atrocious. If anyone Diaz doesn't figure it out, doesn't fit ever. So right. I mean, I forget why I was. I forget why I was I forget what I was trying to say, but I mean, what was I trying to say earlier? I mean, I'm sorry, guys. What I was saying there just slipped me, but basically what I'm saying is just Van Wagenen Cowley became Van Wagenen's guy, and look that's right. Look all the moves that Van Wagenen made. None of them have worked out. Wilson Ramos, that hasn't worked out. He re-signed Jerry Familia. That move was atrocious. Look at all the alternatives that the Mets had. Look at all the relievers that the Mets had available to them in the open market. Look at all the free agents that the Mets that was on the open market during last offseason. You had Vino. You had David Robertson. You had Zach Britton. You have all those guys available, and the Mets ultimately decided to bring Jerry Familia and Edwin Diaz. Those moves have been those moves have been atrocious. So Brodie Van Wagenen deserves just as much blame as Mickey Cowley for the Mets season. Brodie Van Wagenen deserves just as much blame as Mickey Cowley for the Mets disappointing season so far. Because the moves he made has the moves that Brodie Van Wagenen has made have not worked out. And Mickey Cowley, I'm not trying to defend Mickey Cowley here. I thought the Mets should have fired. Now looking back on it, I think the Mets should have fired him right after that meeting. I thought they should have fired him a month ago. I think everything about the Mets should have fired Mickey Cowley months ago. I think he's proven that he's not the right guy for a job. But for Brodie Van Wagenen to all of a sudden throw chairs during a meeting, to just throw chairs during a meeting with the coaches, and if Brodie Van Wagenen's angry at Mickey Cowley, guess what, Brodie? You should have fired him a month ago because he was not your guy. You never ever said that Mickey Cowley was your guy as manager. You never said that Mickey Cowley was your guy. A month ago, you had a perfect opportunity to fire him. Instead, you doubled down on him. Now he became your guy. Mickey Cowley became your guy ever since the moment that you doubled down on him. So now with Mickey Cowley failing the way he's failing as manager, Brodie Van Wagenen deserves just as much blame for him keeping him as Mickey Cowley does for managing. Mickey Cowley's failure has become just as much Brodie Van Wagenen's fault as Mickey Cowley's. Because let's just say let's just say that a couple months ago that the Mets fire Mickey Callaway. Let's say the Mets fire Mickey Callaway. They bring let's just say Joe Girardi or Buck Showalter or whoever they decide to bring in. Let's just say that. Let's just say they did that. Let's just say they made a managerial change a month ago. They could have ultimately, I won't say save the season, but would the Mets be as bad as they are right now if they had Joe Girardi or Buck Showalter as someone, if they didn't have Mickey Callaway as the manager right now? Would the Mets be this bad? I'm not saying they would make the playoffs. I'm not saying they would I'm not saying they would ultimately be in the run for the wild card, but I think we all can agree the Mets would be in a much better situation right now if they had just fired Mickey Callaway at at a month ago. Whatever, I forget when was it that Van Wagenen held that meeting where he said Mickey Callaway's our guy. I forgot. I think it was like a month ago or something that Van Wagenen said that that he was ultimately to be that. I think it was around a month ago that Van Wagenen had that meeting. But the moment Van Wagenen had that meeting, Mickey Callaway became his guy, and so now Mickey Callaway is obviously doing this job. I'm not trying to say that Mickey Callaway doesn't deserve a lot of the blame for the Mets season, but when Van Wagenen doubled down on Mickey Callaway became his guy. So now Mickey Callaway's failure as manager has become just as much Brodie Van Wagenen's fault, because again, a month ago he had the perfect opportunity to fire him. And don't give me I think that the Mets, the Wilpons wanted to keep him. Remember, the Wilpons I remember back when the Wilpons were interviewing candidates for the next general manager. Back when the Wilpons were interviewing guys for the next general manager, one of the questions they asked upcoming GMs or potential GMs was, how would you feel if we fired the manager midway or early on in the season? So they knew the Mets ownership if we're planning to fire Mickey Callaway. They were not all in on Mickey Callaway. So a month ago, Van Wagenen had the perfect opportunity to fire Mickey Callaway. But again, as you said time and time again, he doubled down on Mickey Callaway. So now Brodie Van Wagenen is angry at the Mets coaching staff and throwing chairs during meetings. Well, Brodie Van Wagenen, if you are mad at your coaching staff, you should be just as mad at yourself, because you had the opportunity to make a change a month ago. You had the opportunity a month ago was the perfect opportunity to make a change at manager. Instead, you doubled. I don't know, and now the failure of Mickey Callaway as manager has become just as much your fault as it is Mickey Callaway. Because again, we can harp on Mickey Callaway all we want. He's done a terrible job. Again, I'm not denying that. Name one move this offseason that Brodie Van Wagenen has made that worked out. Again, I'm not gonna be a fraud here. I love the Edwin Diaz trade. Bring in Edwin Diaz. Bring in Edwin Diaz. You took on Cano's contract, but Edwin Diaz at the time was considered the best closer in baseball. Everyone thought you fortified your bullpen. Right now, that trade's looking atrocious. Bringing Wilson Ramos hasn't hit. Jerry Similia has not been great. Out all the bullpen at all. Again, we harped on this earlier. There were so many guys that the Mets could have signed instead of Edwin Diaz and Jerry Similia. You had David Robertson on the open market. You had Zach Brin. You had Adam Ottavino. You have so many relievers on the open market, and ultimately Brodie Van Wagenen chose the wrong guys to sign. Brodie Van Wagenen was the one who constructed this. Brodie Van Wagenen was the one who constructed this bullpen. Wilpons or not, Wilpons is the owners or not, Van Wagenen was the one who constructed this bullpen. So since he's the one who constructed this atrocious bullpen, Van Wagenen deserves a lot of blame for how bad the bullpen is. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, while Callaway deserves a lot of blame for failing as the manager of the Mets, I think Van Wagenen deserves just as much blame for as Mickey Callaway for the Mets season so far, because he He doubled down a perfect opportunity to find Kawhi a month ago. He didn't. He doubled down on him. So, I mean, he doubled down on Kawhi. So now Kawhi became your Van Wagenen as a guy. Whatever blame we give Kawhi, we also gotta give Van Wagenen some of the blame too. And number two, none of the moves that Van Wagenen has made this offseason have worked out. Will Pons or not, Van Wagenen's moves this past offseason have not worked out. So Van Wagenen just throwing chairs in the meetings and being angry at the coaching staff is just another bad look for the Mets. It's just another bad look. It's another. The past couple of weeks, we've just seen the Mets produce headlines for all the wrong reasons. And I listened to Don Regreca say this on the Michael K show. It's not just the losing that the Mets are that is just really turning many people off from the Mets. Fans, I believe, can tolerate losing. I tolerated the Nets losing for so many years. I tolerated the Devils losing for so many years. So fans can tolerate losing. What we can't tolerate is just the sheer incompetence that's going on. Just operating your organization with no class. Just stuff like, Mickey Callaway barking back at reporters, threatening to charge reporters. Him and, Jason Vargas threatening to, just physically assault, reporters. Whether the reporter, or whether, him and the guy from Newsday was, acting like a jackwagon or not. You cannot, threaten. You can't threaten the media like that. And to this, Brodie Van Wagenen just throwing chairs and meetings and all these, storylines that show just pure dysfunction going out. It's just a complete turnoff. It's a complete turnoff. It just reeks of dysfunction. It's every bad word you can say right now, and I don't know where the Mets are going to go from here. I mean, we'll see what happens to the trade deadline. I think the Mets should still, even though I don't think the Mets should go into full rebuild mode, they gotta sell off some pieces. They gotta be sellers at the deadline. They gotta sell off Zach Wheeler. They gotta sell off Todd Frazier, guys who are not gonna be with the team next season. They gotta sell those guys off and get some young players and get some young assets in return and start transitioning from trying to always compete and trying to go from win now mode to not necessarily going to full on rebuild mode, but start to retool, start to get younger, start developing young players, start continue developing Peter Alonso, start to continue to develop start continue to develop Michael Conforto and bring more young players develop. That's what I think the Mets need to do right now. Thanks for listening to the Fire and Thunder Sports Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe to Super Adam 66 for more of the podcast, as well as more sports and entertainment content. Also follow on Twitter and Instagram at Grassani6.